Back in my college days, I stuck around my folks' place since a top-notch engineering school was just a short drive away in Denver. To earn some extra cred, I helped out women in my local community in Aurora with their schoolwork, aced their exams for them, or tutored them for community college courses. In exchange, I got some personal coaching of my own, if you catch my drift. From 18 to 21, life was pretty sweet, and most of the gals I worked with seemed to dig me, too. I built a solid rep for being calm, sharp, and tight-lipped. I had a knack for explaining stuff in a way that clicked, always kept things friendly, and never blabbed about our private dealings, though I'm sure they gossiped plenty. Only one ever made a public fuss about it, Marissa, who went by her nickname Viper instead of her real name. Viper was my age, tall, sporty, with a bit more meat on her bones than me. She was a beast at volleyball and soccer in local leagues, driven in a way most folks around us weren't. She wasn't book smart, but she had big dreams, wanted to launch her own fitness app or gym chain. I tutored her in stats and entrepreneurship, and while I liked her vibe, I kept my distance emotionally. Still, I'd bend over backward to help her out. By my senior year, I cooked up a high-tech motion sensor, kinda like a souped-up RFID for secure facilities. My invention got snatched up by corporations, government offices, even the Pentagon. The patents raked in serious cash, and I spun up 2 startups to push products and fund new research. I wasn't big on managing people, so I set up dummy corporations to handle the day-to-day. I owned everything behind the scenes, but kept it hush-hush. Never used them to skirt taxes, mind you, just set them up in places like the Bahamas to keep my name off the radar. Only the CEOs and CFOs of my companies knew I was the guy pulling the strings. By 24, I had it all locked down, but social anxiety still dogged me. At 26, I met Kristen on a dating app. She was hands down the most stunning woman who'd ever given me the time of day. Our relationship felt standard at first, but looking back, it was kinda skin deep. I was so caught up in her beauty that I ignored some red flags. One thing that stuck out was how little she cared about my work. I'd start talking tech, and her eyes would glaze over like I was reading a manual. That ended up being a blessing for the prenup, though. My lawyer, Brenda, laid it out straight, get a prenup, or she'd walk. I caved. The deal was simple, anything I owned more than 10% of, before or during the marriage, was untouchable. Kristen had her dad look it over, and she signed it without a peep. 2.5 years into our marriage, we had a gorgeous daughter, Chloe. On a solo trip to visit my parents in Seattle, I bumped into Viper again. I offered to buy my folks a new place, but they were content where they were and said no thanks. Viper looked amazing, still fit, dressed sharper than ever. Over coffee, she filled me in on her new fitness app project. I stuck to my usual cover story about being a hired consultant. She was scraping by financially and needed $20,000 to get her app off the ground. I told her to meet me at the same time next week, and I'd hook her up with an investor. She was stoked, gave me a tight hug and a peck on the cheek as I left. I mulled it over for a week. 25 grand was pocket change to me, and even though her business plan seemed iffy, I still had a soft spot for her. When we met again, she was dolled up even more. Before our coffee hit the table, I slipped her an envelope with $20,000 in cash. She was floored, tears and all, which I didn't see coming from someone so tough. She offered me a stake in her app, but I waved it off. Just a gift, I told her. I don't want a piece. She grinned, wiping her eyes, then leaned in with another offer. You sure? You're a stand-up guy. I'd do anything for you. I shut it down quickly. Nah, I'm good. I love my wife. She nodded, drying her face, and said, Kristen's got a good one. If you ever need me, I'm here. I gave her a quick hug, wished her luck, and that was that. Kristen and I went on to have 2 more kids, a second girl, Harper, and a boy, Mason. Kristen was great in some ways, but I started noticing her materialistic side more as time went on. Still, I was head over heels for her. She was the only woman I'd ever truly loved, and she gave me 3 incredible kids. Chloe, now 12, was a spitting image of her mom but had my brains. She was outgoing, way more than me. Harper, 10, was pretty too, but took after me in personality, sweetest kid you'd ever meet, always lighting up the room. Mason, 8, was a ball of energy, always happy, and a natural at sports. I got into football and lacrosse just to keep up with him. He was everybody's buddy, and his sisters adored him. You'd think with kids like that, Kristen would be the perfect mom, but it wasn't quite like that. She and Chloe butted heads constantly. Kristen could be harsh, even mean, with her. We had some ugly fights about it right in front of Chloe. By the time Chloe hit 12, she refused to go anywhere with her mom unless I tagged along. Things got messy one summer when Kristen wanted to take the kids to our cabin by the lake, but I had work. It took everything I had to convince Chloe to go, and I had to sit Kristen down to make sure she'd treat Chloe right. Kristen was better with Harper and Mason, but she had her moments with them too. Even though she was a stay-at-home mom, I spent just as much time with the kids, maybe more, and our time together was always more fun. After 15 years of marriage and 3 awesome kids, I was coming back from a business trip to Miami. It was around 1 p.m., and I'd told Kristen my schedule, but as usual, she didn't seem to register it. I wasn't sure if she'd be home when I got there. As I turned onto our street in Scottsdale, I spotted a familiar car, a red Mustang belonging to Travis Holden, one of the top sales guys at one of my companies. He handled our big military contracts and knew our tech inside out. Even though he wasn't an engineer, he had high-level clearance and was easy to get along with. I wondered why Travis was around at this hour. Our street's a throughway, so maybe he was just passing by, but then it hit me, he could have been at my place. I pulled into the driveway, didn't see Kristen downstairs, and headed up the grand staircase she'd insisted on when we built the house. My boots clomped on the hardwood as I neared the master bedroom door. About 10 feet away, I caught that voice again. "Forget something, Travis?" It was smooth as velvet, sharp as a knife's edge. My heart slammed against my ribs, and I froze. I shoved the door open and stepped inside. There she was, Kristen, acting like nothing was wrong, until she saw me. Her smile dropped faster than a stone in a well. In that split second, her eyes gave it all away. "Oh, Mike," she stammered. "God, I'm so sorry." "Sorry." The word stung like a backhand. My chest burned, anger boiling up so fierce I could barely breathe. My fists balled up tight, nails biting into my palms, but I wasn't about to let her see me crumble. "Sorry?" I growled. "That's all you got, Kristen? After everything we've been through, you think sorry cuts it?" She tried to speak. "Mike, let me explain." I cut her off, voice rising. "I don't need your damn explanation. I've seen enough. I've been a fool, swallowing your lies. How long, huh? How long have you been sneaking around?" She backed up a step, like she needed space, but I wasn't giving her an inch. "It's not what you think," she said, voice shaky. "Don't feed me that crap, Kristen," I snapped. "Don't play me for an idiot now. I know you've been with him, probably laughing at me the whole time. What, you thought I was too dumb to notice?" "I didn't mean for it to happen," she mumbled. "Oh, save it," I shot back. "What, you just stumbled into his bed? You don't get to act like the victim here. You've been lying, making me think I was enough, while you were out there screwing around like our life meant nothing." "I didn't want to hurt you," she said, softer now. "Hurt me?" I barked. "You think this is just about pain? You've already done that. This is about you being a selfish, conniving liar. I gave you everything, Kristen, and you turned it into a joke." Her face hardened. "I never asked for your trust, Mike. You think I need your pity? Your charity?" Her words hit like a sucker punch. "Pity?" I roared. "You think I pity you? No, what you deserve is to watch everything we built crash and burn because you couldn't keep it together." She flinched, anger and guilt flashing across her face. "You don't understand. I didn't want it to end like this." "Oh, I understand plenty," I spat. "You're a liar, and I'm done. Done with you, done with your games, done with this whole mess. You're the only villain here, Kristen." My voice was shaking now, but I didn't care. "You made your choice. Live with it." She glared at me, her voice cracking but defiant. "You're not worth fighting for anymore. Just get out of my face." I stepped closer, chest tight with fury. "Go run back to your side piece. We're through. Don't even think about crawling back. It's over. For good." A wave of heavy, crushing grief slammed into me. My legs wobbled, and everything went dark. Next thing I knew, I was blinking awake in a hospital bed. A nurse hurried in right as my eyes opened, with a doctor trailing a minute later. "How are you holding up, Mr. Carter?" asked the nurse, a kind woman in her 40s named Janet. "My head's pounding like it's in a clamp," I groaned. "We're glad you came so fast," Janet said, grabbing my wrist to check my pulse while glancing at the monitor. "Why am I here? How'd I end up in a hospital?" I asked as the doctor stepped up. "Mr. Carter," said the doctor, a calm woman with a slight Jamaican accent named Dr. Simone. "Let me check your eyes, then I'll fill you in." Janet kept her grip on my wrist, and Dr. Simone pulled out a penlight, gently lifting my eyelids and inspecting for a couple minutes. When she was done, they both gave me a reassuring nod. "You've got a concussion," Dr. Simone explained. "Your wife said you slipped in the bedroom, hit your head on the hardwood, and banged it against a stone figurine. You're lucky, your vitals are solid, and the concussion might not be too bad." Hearing that brought the grief crashing back. I remembered why I'd collapsed. My eyes widened, and a groan slipped out. Nausea hit me hard, and before I could stop it, Janet had a basin under my chin. I hadn't eaten since breakfast, so it was just bile. When my stomach settled, I leaned back. Janet pressed a cool cloth to my forehead, and Dr. Simone checked me over again. "That vomiting was unexpected," Dr. Simone said. "It could mean the concussion worse, but there's no other signs of that." "Could it be emotional shock?" "Yeah," I sighed, knowing damn well it was. I didn't lose it when I found out my wife was cheating, but it hit me hard. I snorted, proud I kept the cursing to a minimum. Janet's eyes widened, but she stayed quiet. "By the way," I added, keeping my voice steady, "where's my wife?" "She was here earlier," Janet said, her calm returning. "But she left to pick up the kids from school." I glanced at my watch. 3:14 p.m. Kristen was probably off grabbing the kids from school. "Did you eat anything today?" Dr. Simone asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "Nah, not since breakfast at 8, I answered. "Since the vomiting seems tied to emotional stress rather than the concussion, I'd say get some food in you before your wife shows up with the kids," she suggested. "You don't think seeing her will make me hurl again, do you?" I asked, half joking. "Nah, you should be fine," Dr. Simone said with a small smile. "Something light, though. Nurse Carter, can you grab some oatmeal with a sprinkle of cinnamon and some dried cranberries? Hold the sugar." I gave Janet a weak grin, best I could muster. 5 minutes later, the oatmeal showed up. I scarfed it down, and by the time Janet came back, I was feeling a bit more human. "You've got visitors," she said. My 3 kids barreled in, each trying to beat the others to my side. "Easy, don't mess with Dad's head or neck," I teased, pulling them into a big hug. They all started yapping at once, buzzing with excitement. Even though my head was still throbbing, I couldn't help but chuckle. A full-on laugh would have hurt too much, but a little snicker was all right. I barely noticed Kristen lingering in the doorway, watching us. Chloe had clearly been crying, but seeing I wasn't on death's door perked her up. Harper and Mason were all grins. Kristen stood there, looking lost as I goofed around with the kids. I steered clear of talking about my injury, asking them about what they'd been up to while I was gone and what they had planned. Kristen tried tossing in a couple comments, but I ignored her, not even glancing her way. After about 15 minutes, I caught Janet talking to Kristen. A minute later, Kristen spoke up. "All right, kids, Dad's still under the weather. Let's let him rest. Kiss his hands goodbye, we'll come back tomorrow." They planted kisses on my hands and waved as they headed out. Chloe seemed okay now, and Mason was his usual cheery self. But Harper's eyes welled up, and she turned away to hide it. As the kids left, Kristen called out, "Meet me by the elevators, guys. I need a quick word with Dad." She walked over, and I didn't have time to figure out how to play it. I couldn't do what I'd pictured in my head, so I just shut my eyes and let her talk. "Mike, I'm so sorry you had to find out like this," she started. "I never wanted you to see that. I'm sorry I haven't been the wife you deserve. I hope we can talk when you're feeling better." There was some sniffling, but no real tears. I stayed quiet. After a beat, she added, "Maybe tomorrow. Just call if you want to talk." That last bit hit me like a brick. She wasn't planning to show up unless I reached out. If I didn't call, she'd just stay away. About 20 minutes after she left, Dr. Simone popped back in. She checked me over and said, "You don't seem too rattled after seeing your wife." "Didn't talk to her," I said, brushing it off. Even though I was still gutted, I knew I could channel that into action. "No more feeling sick, that's a good sign," Dr. Simone said with a nod. How long do you think I need to stay here, Doc? I'd say 1 more night, she replied. If you're good tomorrow, you can head home. Just take it easy for a week and stay away from the office for 3 or 4 days. Deal, I said, flashing a grin as I shook her hand. But only if you don't tell my wife I'm getting out Friday morning. She laughed. I won't lie, but if she asks, I'll say you're probably here till Saturday. Appreciate you, I said, feeling a bit lighter. I had a big dinner, called my parents, who hadn't heard a peep from Kristen, and rang my assistant to grab a notebook and pen from my place. My head wasn't clear enough to jot down plans yet, but I'd be ready come morning. By 3 p.m. Thursday, Kristen rolled in with the kids. Just as I figured, she hadn't bothered showing up earlier, and I sure as hell wasn't gonna call her. Janet mentioned Kristen had called once to check on me, though. By the time the kids got there, I was feeling a lot better, not just from recovering, but because I'd had a productive day. Some folks from the office swung by, my lawyer Brenda was digging into the prenup, and my parents had grabbed lunch with me. None of it was about work, it was all about mapping out the next chapter of my life. After a fun half-hour with the kids, Janet came in and nudged me to rest. Kristen pulled her usual act, laying on the sweet, innocent routine. But I wasn't buying it anymore. My eyes were wide open, seeing right through her. She stepped closer, her voice dripping with that fake honeyed tone. Honey, you didn't call today about me coming by to talk about us. I didn't even flinch. Oh, now you want to talk? Guess I wasn't worth a text to see if I was still breathing, huh? Didn't care if I was dead or alive till I reached out, right? She played it cool, but I saw the guilt flash in her eyes for a split second. That's not fair, Mike. I didn't want to bug you if you weren't ready to talk. I scoffed, shaking my head. Bug me? Are you serious? You don't get to pull the I didn't want to bother you card now. You've been playing me for too damn long to act all innocent. Nah, I'm not falling for it. Her voice softened, but I could see the fake sweetness oozing out. Mike, I'm really sorry. I just hope we can work through this. Work through this? I snapped. You mean me getting over your betrayal? You think I'm just gonna forget it all? Nah, that ain't happening. You've been lying, playing me like a chump, and now you want to talk about working through it? That's not how this goes. She reached for my hand, kissing it like I was some kind of royalty. Like that'd fix anything. I yanked my hand back like it was scalding. Don't touch me, Kristen. Don't even try. She looked at me, waiting for some kind of reaction, but I gave her nothing, just a cold, hard stare. Kristen pressed her lips to my hand, like that'd somehow make everything okay, like I'd just fall back into her arms. I wasn't buying it. Not anymore. Goodbye, she whispered, her voice soft, almost begging. She gave a weak wave, like I was some guy she barely knew. I didn't miss that she never said she loved me or that she'd cut things off with Travis Holden. All I could feel from her was regret for getting caught. Right after visiting hours ended, the final piece of my plan clicked into place. Kristen's parents showed up, which threw me for a loop until they explained why. Apparently, Kristen didn't have the guts to threaten me with losing the kids if we split, so she sent her folks to do the dirty work. Kristen told us about her mistake, her mom said, squeezing my hand. Mistake? I asked, keeping my tone even. What mistake? Her mom paused, then said, you know, she's why you ended up hurt. We hope you can forgive her, Mike. You're such a great dad and husband. It'd break you to not see your kids every day. You're damn right it would, I said, letting my voice sound heavy. But in my head, I was already dead set on fighting for sole custody. After a few more minutes of small talk, they left. My path was crystal clear now. The next morning, Dr. Simone gave me a final check and handed over my discharge papers. Take it easy for a week, she said. Cross my heart, I joked, tossing her a lazy salute that got a chuckle out of her. I wasn't a Boy Scout, but I could at least lighten the mood. I thanked Janet, tried slipping her $300, but she wouldn't take it. I gave her a quick hug instead and left with my assistant, Nate. By 11 a.m., I could have gone after Travis by canning him, but that felt too small. I wanted to torch his career, strip his security clearance so he'd never land a gig anywhere near his current pay or clout. After a call with Brenda and a divorce lawyer she recommended, I got Travis's bank details from payroll. Now, I just needed to meet Viper. Why her? She'd held me lock and sole custody. Nate drove me to her office in downtown Denver, but I told him to wait in the car. This was between me and Viper. I'd called ahead, and she was surprised but thrilled to hear from me. Hold up, I laughed as she went for a hug. Got a concussion here, so no bear hugs. Let's stick to hand kisses, you wild thing. She grinned. Probably only got that concussion so I wouldn't mess you up too bad. We kissed each other's hands, awkward, but it worked. Viper looked sharp, all polished and professional, with a touch of gray in her hair that made her look softer, but still a knockout. Get in here, she said, tugging me inside. I didn't waste time. Viper, I need your help. Anything, Mike, she said, her eyes lighting up. You have no clue how much I owe you. Whatever you need, just say it. Long as it's not taking someone out, I'm game. She flashed a big smile, and her joke eased me up a bit. All right, you asked for it, I said, grinning back. I laid it all out, how much the kids meant to me, even pulling out my phone to show her their pictures. When I mentioned my middle kid was named Harper, she froze. Harper, she asked, eyes wide. You named her that? I knew what she was thinking. Yeah, after my favorite person before I got hitched, I said with a wide smile. Her eyes got watery, and she started sobbing. You damn fool, she said, choking up. Only cried twice in the last decade, and both times it's your fault. I squeezed her hand. Hey, happy tears are all right. I could use some myself right now. Fine, how do I help you pull this off, she asked, wiping her face. I need you to post videos of Kristen on your site and funnel money into her account, I said, cutting to the chase. Once she got over the shock, we hashed it out. She had some sharp ideas, one in particular that stood out. You gotta make sure this can't be traced back to you, she said. No one can know we are going back. Way back, huh? That's what we're calling it. I teased, laughing. Shut it, she giggled. I got this. My buddy runs a bigger paid site than mine, no questions asked. Wire him the cash, and he'll transfer it to your wife's account. She called her contact right then. In a quick 4-minute chat, Viper set it all up. She told me the video format they'd need and how any money I sent her would go to her friend, who'd match it to Kristen's account. Oh, and my guy needs your wife's signature on a contract, including permission to film. Is it good to fake it or trick her into signing? I got it covered, I said. I'll email it to you today. Wait till tomorrow, though, I'll set up a fresh email at the library just for this and send it once she signs. I flashed a grin. As I left, I planted a quick kiss on her lips, sealing the deal. Early on in our marriage, Kristen insisted our credit card and bank account be in her name only. I'd never bothered checking them before, but now I would. Back home in the study, I had all I needed to take down Travis and Kristen, bank account numbers, her credit card, plenty of my own cash, and Viper's help. Plus, I had Nate, my assistant, who was loyal as hell and would do whatever I asked. Let me tell you about Nate. He's not just some secretary, he's my right-hand man, the highest paid employee besides my CEOs and CFOs. He's got an engineering degree, crunches numbers like a pro, and tweaks my tech designs when I need it. He's always ready to pitch in, which is why he picked me up from the hospital and waited outside. Oh, and he's no pushover, played college basketball and was a linebacker his senior year. At 6 feet 2 inches, 240 pounds of muscle, the guy can't find a jacket that doesn't rip at the sleeves. My revenge plan could have gone sideways, but I had it locked down. I had to stay positive. After Nate dropped me off at my car outside the house in Scottsdale, I didn't bother checking if Kristen was home. I grabbed a quick burger and dialed her number. Hey, honey, she answered, way too chipper, like she was putting on a show. So glad you called. Want me to swing by your place? Caller ID didn't lie. I skipped the small talk. No need for that, I said, my voice flat and icy. They let me out early, so I'm picking up the kids. We're hitting the diner for milkshakes. Be home around 5:20. I heard Kristen hesitate, thrown off by my coldness. Oh, honey, I could whip up a nice dinner to welcome you back, don't bother, I cut her off, sarcasm dripping. Just don't mess up their appetite. Her tone shifted, still clinging to that fake sweetness. Thanks for the parenting tip, she said, like I wasn't calling her out. See you at 5:20. Yeah, you will, I snapped, hanging up before she could say more. The kids lit up when they saw me, bombarding me with questions about how I was feeling and what they'd been up to. Their eyes sparkled when I said we were headed to the diner for milkshakes, their favorite. After we slurped down our shakes, I figured it was time for a real talk. Kids, some stuff's gonna change soon, I said, keeping it chill. But none of it's on you. Chloe saw right through me. If you and Mom split, I'm staying with you, she said, not missing a beat. Are you getting divorced? Harper asked, her eyes wide with worry. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, I said, trying to keep things steady, especially for Harper, who looked like she might cry. Mom and I are having some issues. I don't know how it'll shake out, but we both love you three to death, and this isn't your fault. Chloe hit me with a gut punch. You love us, but does Mom? Mason jumped in. Mom loves us. Don't be so sure, Chloe muttered, then softened, trying to keep the peace. She doesn't always act like it. I rested my hand on her arm. I know, sweetheart. Mom loves you, even if she doesn't always show it right. Let's not judge her too hard. We just gotta hope things get better. Harper sniffled quietly, and Mason and Chloe looked drained. Then Mason, blunt as always, piped up. Dad, are you coming to my baseball game tomorrow? I'm pitching against the Hawks. Wouldn't miss it, buddy, I said with a grin. What about you girls? Got anything going on Saturday? After a couple hours with the kids, I made sure to keep at least one of them between me and Kristen when we got home. I wasn't ready to deal with her. When the kids hit the sack, I headed to the guest room. Don't you want to talk? Kristen called after me, head's killing me from the concussion, I said. Just need some painkillers and sleep. Don't want to keep you up. I popped a couple Advil and shut the door. I'm here when you're ready, she said as I closed it. Saturday and Sunday, I dodged any real talk or closeness with her, laser focused on my plan. First thing Saturday, I used Kristen's credit card to order 2 small cameras and motion sensors, set to arrive Monday. At the library, I printed the contract 5%, then deleted it. I also printed new health and life insurance forms, stacked them together, and marked where Kristen needed to sign. I knew she'd be in a good mood this weekend, but it wouldn't last. On Sunday, I handed her the papers, saying they were just routine insurance renewals with her and the kids as co-beneficiaries. She smiled, clearly thinking I wasn't planning to divorce her. A few minutes later, she came back, all cherry. Signed everything, honey, she said, handing them over while I played Uno with the kids. Thanks, I said, sliding the papers into my briefcase without looking up from the game. I also called the CEO of the company Travis worked for and had him order security clearance checks on 5 employees. It was standard procedure, but I made sure it looked like it came from the company, not the feds. No one was supposed to know the employer triggered it. Monday morning, after the kids headed to school, Kristen finally pushed for a talk. Mike, we can't keep ignoring this, she said, sitting across from me at the kitchen table. It'll rip us apart. I nearly said, what's there to rip apart, but held back. Instead, I went with, my head's still foggy, and I need time to sort through this. I'm not rushing into anything. Okay, dear, she said, looking relieved after a pause. I'm heading to the golf club for a meeting. Back around 2 to grab the kids. You gonna be alright? I wanted to say, I'll know soon enough, but kept it in. Have fun, I said. I'll be fine. She was making this way too easy. About 30 minutes after she left, the courier dropped off the cameras. I called Nate, and he swung by. We got to work setting up the cameras, switches, and motion sensors in the master bedroom, wearing latex gloves to keep our fingerprints and DNA off everything. In under an hour, we had it all rigged up. Then we needed to route the signal to Kristen's computer. I'm decent with tech, I said, but Nate, you're a damn wizard. All we need is her password, he said. I can link the cameras to her system in 10 minutes flat. Nate, still wearing his gloves, piped up. I've got top-tier password cracking software on my laptop. I'll hook it up to hers and get this rolling. He started the program, then glanced at me. What do we do while it's running? Before I could answer, a beep cut through the air. What's that? I asked, heart skipping. Something wrong? Nah, we're good, Nate chuckled. It's already cracked. Wait, what? How's that possible? I said, baffled. This software tries the most common passwords first, he explained. Hers was Queen Bee, like, the 28th most popular. Figures, right? I smirked. Kristen never gave a damn about the tech stuff I tried to teach her, so why would she listen when I said to pick a strong password? True to his word, Nate had the cameras wired to her computer in 10 minutes, saving the footage under a random file name. 5 minutes later, I could access it from my office and control the cameras and sensors remotely. Tuesday came, and I headed to work, feeling sharp. I flipped on the cameras and motion detectors as I left the house. I'd set up one of my shell companies in Bermuda to wire $10,000 into Travis Holden's account. My concussion was healing fast, and I was in a damn good mood. That night, after the kids were asleep, Kristen tried talking. "Why don't you sleep in our bed tonight? You're well enough to work, so you must be feeling better," she said, her voice all soft and hopeful. "I'm getting there," I said, keeping it short. "By Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be back to normal." For a second, I almost let myself wonder if Kristen, the woman who'd gutted me, actually cared. Maybe she ditched Travis. But I shoved that thought away. Deep down, I knew I was still playing the game, no matter how much I wished things could be different. Thursday's footage confirmed it. I uploaded Kristen's morning video to Viper's site, handed over $5,000 in cash, and by Friday evening, that money was in Kristen's account, with the video live for paying users. Travis's face was blurred out since the site didn't have his permission. Over the next 2 weeks, 2 more videos went up. Another $5,000 hit Kristen's account, and $10,000 from another Bermuda shell company landed in Travis's. I had to keep the wheels turning before they got their bank statements and started asking questions. The day after the third video dropped, Travis faced a security clearance check. I don't know how, but the reviewer had an unblurred copy of one of the videos, plus Travis's bank statement. He was the third guy interviewed that day, probably clueless that his session was the one that mattered. Since the CEO got the polygraph results and question list, I snagged a transcript by the end of day. After the standard questions, the examiner went for the jugular. "Mr. Holden, do you have any activities outside work that could make you a blackmail target?" "No, I don't think so," Travis said, but the lie detector spiked. The reviewer wasn't done. "Take a look at this," he said, pulling up something on his tablet. "Recognize the woman in this video from 2 weeks ago, Thursday?" Travis's face must have gone white as he weighed his options, lie or fess up, and which would screw him less. He folded. "Kristen Carter," he muttered. "Isn't she married to a colleague, Mike Carter?" the examiner pressed. "No, Mike works for a different outfit," Travis stammered. "Our offices are just in the same building. It's a big place." "Did it ever cross your mind that sleeping with a married coworker might leave you open to blackmail?" "I didn't think about it," Travis mumbled, sounding rattled. "Have you received any transfers from foreign companies since your last check?" "Absolutely not," Travis snapped, offended. The reviewer leaned in. "What about these deposits from 2 Bermuda companies? What's that about?" A long pause. "I don't know," Travis said, voice shaky. "Never seen anything like it. Must be a mistake." "A mistake by 2 separate Bermuda companies we can't trace," the reviewer said, his tone sharp. "Someone's setting me up," Travis whined, frustration boiling over. "Did someone fake the video of you and Mrs. Carter, too?" the examiner asked, sarcasm barely veiled. After a few more questions, the interview ended. As the examiner unhooked the lie detector, he looked at Travis. "Mr. Holden, until further notice, you're to stay away from anyone handling sensitive or confidential info, including Mr. and Mrs. Carter and those companies that wired you money. Noncompliance will be on you." The next morning, I got the kids ready for school. Kristen stared at me, eyes like ice, but didn't say a word. The second the kids were out the door, I grabbed my phone and made the call. 30 seconds later, the doorbell rang. I couldn't resist. "It's for you, sweetheart," I shouted from the kitchen, venom in my voice. Kristen's eyes shot daggers, but she kept her mouth shut at first. "How dare you talk to me like that, you jerk," she hissed under her breath. Trying to sound tough, I let out a bitter laugh. I stepped closer, my voice sharp with mockery. "Won't be long, darling," I sneered, flashing a grin. Kristen swung the door open, and the bailiff handed her the divorce papers, no hesitation. "Mrs. Kristen Carter," he said, his tone heavy, like he was serving a life sentence. She froze, staring at the papers like they were written in another language. Then came the real gut punch, photos of her with Travis, plus a website address and password to access it. I was right behind her. "Didn't think I'd figure out you were selling your little videos, huh? You filthy liar," I spat, savoring the moment I finally called her out. She gawked at the pictures, like she couldn't believe her eyes. But I wasn't holding back anymore. Out here getting filmed like that and calling it a side hustle? You really thought you could keep that from me? I shoved the website paper in her face. Go on, take a peek at how you look on that site. Bet you haven't even checked. Her face went ghost white, and I saw her fighting back tears, but she wasn't getting a drop of pity from me. Not only did you cheat behind my back, you're profiting off it like it's some damn gig, I growled, disgust thick in my voice. She stammered, her voice shaky. Mike, I don't know what you're talking about. I slammed my fist on the counter. Don't play dumb, Kristen. I've got it all. I saw everything. I was practically spitting fire. I'm taking the kids this weekend. Don't even think about calling. Get the best lawyer you can afford, 'cause you're gonna need one. I stood up, glaring down at her one last time. Hope that cash from your little online show helps, 'cause you'll need every cent in court. I turned for the door but shot her one last look. Think I'm done? You haven't seen half of it. That same day, Travis was canned, escorted out, and stripped of his security clearance. About an hour before I was set to grab the kids, my assistant buzzed me. Mike, they're saying Travis Holden's drunk in the parking lot, yelling your name. Should I call the cops? I laughed. Nah, Lisa. Get Nate down here now. It was too perfect. When Nate showed up, we headed to the window overlooking the parking lot, where we could see the security cameras. Travis was stumbling, clearly hammered. We hatched a quick plan. Nate slipped out a side door, staying off the cameras, while I strode out the front. The second Travis saw me, his face turned beet red with rage. You damn bastard, Carter, he shouted, charging at me. You got me fired and tanked my clearance. Think you can ruin me and walk away? I'm gonna beat your ass right now. I held my ground, smirking. That's so, Holden. You think you can come at me? You screwed yourself, and now you're blaming me for your mess. You're pathetic. He stepped closer, fists clenched. You don't know who you're messing with, Carter. I'll tear you apart, you smug prick. I shook my head, chuckling. Keep yapping, man. You look like you need to swing at something to feel better. But trust me, you're the one hitting the dirt. Travis didn't wait. He lunged, swinging wildly, but I was ready. I sidestepped just enough to stay in the camera's view, right near Nate, who was watching, waiting for his moment. I let Travis's fist graze my shoulder, a weak hit, but I played it up big, dropping to the ground like he'd clocked me with a brick. Arg! I groaned, hitting the pavement hard, making it look real. Damn, that hurt. I muttered loud enough for the cameras. Travis loomed over me, grinning like he'd won, but he didn't see Nate coming. Out of nowhere, Nate charged in, slamming his forearm into Travis's jaw like a freight train. Travis flew back like a rag doll, crashing to the ground, out cold. I stayed down, acting dazed, while Nate helped me up. I leaned against a car, wobbling for effect. Nate didn't say a word, just pulled out his phone and called 911 while I played up the groggy act for the cameras. Sirens wailed in the distance, and I knew the cops would be there soon. Travis? Out like a light, looking like the fool he was. The fire department strapped Travis to a stretcher, handcuffed, with a cop riding along to the hospital. I filled out the paperwork to press assault charges, then grabbed the kids and took them to a lakeside cabin for the weekend. By Sunday, I sat them down and broke the news about the divorce. Chloe seemed almost relieved, while Harper and Mason took it okay, especially after I promised we'd both always love them. When we got home Sunday night, Kristen wasn't as vicious as I'd braced for. I'd already moved my valuables to a storage unit, but I wasn't leaving the house. I know you set up those damn videos, Mike, she hissed, her voice low and venomous. I don't know how you pulled it off, but you're covering your tracks like a pro. I just smirked, letting her stew in it. I stepped closer, my voice thick with scorn. Not even a damn apology, I sneered, daring her to flinch. No sorry I messed up. Just ice-cold excuses. Kristen's tone was sharp, trying to stay composed. It was a mistake, Mike. I smirked, closing the distance, my words pinning her down. A mistake? You can't even choke out a please forgive me, huh? Not a shred of regret? Her jaw tightened, her voice barely holding steady. You're accusing me of something I didn't do, she snapped, anger bubbling beneath the surface. I don't know what twisted game you're playing, but it won't work. I leaned in, my face inches from hers, letting her feel every bit of my disgust. You screwed up, Kristen. Nobody's buying your innocent act anymore, and you can't even own it. Pathetic. She was breathing hard, fighting to keep it together. I've been busy, all right? Got a lawyer, hired a tech guy to figure out how you pulled this off. You've covered your tracks, but I'm not letting you drag me through the mud with this unfit mother garbage. I'm ready to talk custody if you can play fair for once. Fair? I growled, each word sharp as a blade. You give me sole custody in the house so the kids don't have to uproot their lives. I'll toss you a bone, you can visit them. Hell, I'll even buy you a place. You and Travis can go ruin your lives somewhere else. That's the deal. She scoffed, shaking her head like she was above it all. You hear about Travis? He's not just jobless, he's done. No career. I let out a dark chuckle. Travis is nothing to me. Don't care if he's scrubbing dishes now. I'm not living under the same roof as that clown. That's not the point, she shot back, trying to steer the conversation, but I shut it down. Enough, Kristen, I said, my voice slicing through her excuses. Do whatever you want, screw whoever you want, I don't care. Just take the deal and stop wasting my time. She stood there, face flushed, wiping away a few tears like she was the victim. I wasn't falling for it. You think I'm a bad mom, she said, her voice shaking with anger and pain. Fine. But I'm not. I love my kids with everything I've got. The thought of not seeing them every day is killing me. I'm not letting you drag me through a courtroom, twisting my words and slandering me. I don't have the strength for that, and I won't let the kids see that video or believe the lies you're spinning. I nodded, my tone softening but still laced with a threat. I agree, we keep the dirty details from the kids. I leaned in, voice cold and calculated. So, what's your plan? Her eyes narrowed, lips tight. My lawyer says mediation. We get a retired family court judge to handle it. I'll agree to sole or joint custody, you do the same. The mediator looks at everything, the kids' wishes, the whole deal, and we go with their call. It's quick, clean, and stays out of the public eye. I stared at her, almost impressed by her attempt to sound reasonable after everything she'd done. She'd probably been scheming with Travis for hours, trying to spin this in her favor. I leaned back, arms crossed, voice hard. We'll meet with our lawyers next week, but let's get one thing straight, no joint custody. Ever. I'm not putting the kids through that mess. I want sole custody, period. If the mediator says otherwise, fine, but don't come at me with joint custody nonsense. She didn't back down, but I could see it stung. I'll agree if it's the mediator's ruling. I leaned forward, voice dead serious. And forget about me sleeping in the guest room while you keep the master bedroom. Not happening. I didn't elaborate, she knew exactly what I meant. No way was I sleeping anywhere near where Travis had been with her. On Tuesday, we sat down with our lawyers. We both told them to cut through the noise and get it done. The agreement was straightforward, a 50-50 split of everything not covered by the prenup, which locked up 90% of my wealth. We settled on child support amounts based on who got custody and ironed out a few other details. It took all day, but we wrapped it up. The next day, the mediator agreed to take our case and set a fee we'd split from our joint assets. We locked in a briefing date and a hearing date a few weeks out. I didn't make Kristen put it in writing, but we agreed privately that neither of us would bring anyone new into the house while we both lived there, and whoever had to move out after the custody ruling would clear out within 2 weeks. I also had Brenda threaten the Pace site with a lawsuit unless they pulled Kristen's videos and refunded the money. One quick call to Viper sorted that out. During the wait, Kristen and I kept things civil. I never tried swaying the kids, and as far as I could tell, she didn't either. We avoided snarky comments, even when it was just the two of us. On hearing day, my nerves were shot. I was confident I had the edge, but I wanted sole custody so bad it made me anxious. The hearing started smooth, but the mediator dropped a few comments that twisted my gut. He seemed to lean toward joint custody. Before he interviewed the kids, he gave us a heads up. I see you've agreed to watch my talks with the children on closed-circuit TV, he said. No way, I shot back. I didn't realize before, but that'll wreck the trust I've got with my kids. If you insist on that, I'll need a different mediator. Brenda pulled me aside and urged me to agree, pointing out that Chloe wasn't Kristen's biggest fan and the mediator would likely weigh the kids' opinions heavily, more than another mediator might. Chloe was close to the age where state law let her have a say, so I had to trust the process. We met with our lawyers and signed off on the mediator's terms, also agreeing not to grill the kids about what they said in their interviews. That night at dinner, Kristen made a few remarks that hinted she was gunning for joint custody. I just gave her a hard stare and stayed quiet. Chloe caught my look and flashed a sly grin. The next day, the mediator talked to the kids. Mason's interview was quick, about 20 minutes, but Chloe's dragged on for over an hour. As she walked out, she made sure Kristen and her lawyer weren't watching and shot me a thumbs up. Later, Kristen's parents took the kids out for lunch, and the mediator was ready to rule. We weren't expecting it. He was supposed to take another week, but he skipped closing arguments. After reviewing all evidence, I awarded sole custody of all 3 children to Mike Carter, he said. I find the agreement between both parties fair and in the children's best interest. The case will be finalized on those terms Monday. I'll provide a certified copy of the judgment for family court. Kristen and I both teared up, for different reasons. The drive home was dead silent. I didn't rub it in, and she was clearly crushed. It was a heavy moment, the end of our family, but I knew it had to happen, and it went as well as it could for me. That night, Kristen wasn't home when I told the kids. I did most of the talking. Mason and Harper were sad but hugged me tight. Chloe gave a more reserved hug. I kept it upbeat, laying out the visitation schedule. Within a week of the hearing, I bought Kristen a new house, and she moved out within the 2 weeks we'd agreed on. The kids, her parents, my sister, and I pitched in, with movers handling the big stuff like the bed from our old bedroom. A few months later, when the divorce was finalized, I threw a party at the house to thank everyone who'd helped, plus close friends and family. I didn't tell the kids it was for the divorce, just called it a celebration. Chloe, now 13, pieced it together. Right before guests arrived, while I was setting up, Chloe slipped into the room and shut the door. She made me sit, then climbed onto my lap. Dad, how happy are you that you got custody? She asked. It was a tough one, even for her. I'm relieved, Chloe. Why? She grinned wide. I knew it'd work out. When I talked to the mediator, I told him I saw Mom and that Holden guy together in our house when I came home sick. It messed me up. You saw them? I asked, floored. What's it matter? She said. She was cheating. I wouldn't have gone with her if she got custody. I knew it was better for Mason and Harper to stay with us. Just thought you'd want to know. She kissed my cheek, hopped off, and strolled out. I let it go, not wanting to dig deeper. At the party, Viper stole the show. She hit it off with the kids right away, playing catch with Mason for half an hour. She was better at it than me. She spent an hour chatting and laughing with Harper, and though I didn't catch what they talked about, they clicked. Chloe was a bit guarded but wound up talking fashion with Viper. She didn't leave me out either. Mid-party, she pulled me into the study. Let your parents take the kids tonight and come to my place, she said with a sly grin. I'll make sure you're back by 10 tomorrow, alive, but maybe not fully conscious. That night was one for the books. Looking me in the eyes, she said, I see you as kind, smart, and big-hearted. Why don't we hit a resort on the 14th for 3 days? We can see if this could be something real. I want a man who's mine, and mine alone. Then she nudged me out, saying, go home to your amazing kids.